So I'm glad that today we have Rohit Adlaka as our guest. Rohit is a thought leader, tech evangelist, or should I say AI and digital revolutionary, a strategist, and an amazing human being. So Rohit has started his career with Wipro and worked there as a chief digital information officer and managed team of large number of 4,000 odd people. He has driven various innovations, track transformation programs there. Currently, he's on the board of various startups and helping the startup ecosystem by mentoring various founders. He's also advising talent recruits. So welcome, Rohit, to the second episode of TRanscend.
Thank you so much, Alok, and thanks for speaking volumes about me. I'm absolutely honored about this. Thank you.
Great. So Rohit, you have been a big advocate of AI and ML and propagator of bringing change through tech interventions. Our today's topic is quite interesting and you will relate better. That is the ever-changing work ecosystem and how AI is the next big change agent. So Rohit, as you know, that the work environment is constantly changing. So whenever we witness any new wave of change, there has been always apprehension in the mind of workforce of the people that their job could be at stake. In fact, we always see that each such wave of change brings a lot of opportunities for the people to drive their function more efficiently or effectively. So as per the report published by World Economic Forum, that between 2025 and 30, 97 million new jobs will be emerged and close to 87 million jobs will be dispersed by the shift of division of work between humans and machines. Quite interesting, statistics. So my first question to you, Rohit, is in last 3 decades, what would you say are the major watershed events and movements which have led to the current state of work ecosystem?
Sure, Alok. I'm sounding a little old with 3 decades of experience almost. But, we are living in what I call the VUCA world: volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Because constantly there are changes happening across business, technology, and society. If you just take a quick recap, in the 1990s, the internet revolution had come in, and we had a plethora of information available at our desktops, at our laptops, literally at our fingertips. And the whole divide, geographic, political, social, actually broke down because the world was being seen as one unified globe, one unified country, if I may call so. The next decade, that is the 2000s, saw what we call broadband internet. So speeds from 9.6 kbps, literally jumped up into mbps. We had the mobile phone revolution, especially a precursor to the iPhone in the current shape and form that we use. And then, of course, cloud was just about germinating at that point. And the whole idea about enhancing experience, information, knowledge, and collaboration was the mantra for 2000s. But of course, we saw two waves that did, of course, pose challenges and, of course, posed a lot of opportunities also. One was, as we fondly call it, the dot-com bubble, the year 2000, where the tech companies took a massive beating in terms of valuation, in terms of the confidence in the tech sector. 2008 was the financial, uh, buzz, or the downfall, as we called it. And there were massive layoffs. And then, of course, the entire recession took over and investments took a backseat. So major challenges, but I think as an industry, as a human race, we overcame them. If you look at 2010 decade, we saw a massive revolution in collaboration. We saw social media becoming very popular in terms of both investments and usage. And the whole idea about the virtual environment, for example, tools like these that we are actually talking to each other virtually, became extremely popular. And of course, the decade that we are in, very exciting, the 2020s, where we are seeing a convergence of what we call the physical, virtual, and biological worlds. And the whole paradigm, if you ask me, in terms of work is changing. One, the physical environment for an office is now moving from a convergence of a physical space to actually an experience center. Personalized, individualized for every employee, for every person who works in the office, to bring in what we call empathy, collaboration, trust, and confidence building amongst all. So, experience driving is the new mantra for this decade. The second, of course, you briefly mentioned, but the entire human machine collaboration. And we are looking at a symbiotic relationship between humans, which will drive creativity, leadership, social skills, and machines that will drive what we call scale and efficiency. The third big disruption that we are seeing is what we call the gig economy, where you can now work anytime, anywhere from any device. And the so called 9 to 5 jobs physically in an office, that entire paradigm is being busted, if I may use the colloquial word. So people are looking at gig economy and what we call crowdsourcing of work more and more. The last, of course, is work from anywhere. We saw this from the year 2020, March 23rd, when the whole world got disrupted. And that's more or less become a norm. With the underlying principle of diversity, inclusion, sustainability, which is what is driving not just the millennials, but a little older people like us. So I would say the future of work is very, very exciting, very disruptive, but very exciting in terms of opportunities ahead.
I think absolutely bang on what you said about how we've been seeing the shift and changes. Every new wave of technology, what I understand, brings new opportunities. So we have always seen emergence of new businesses altogether. If you look at decade by decade, which are the organizations they are leading the world chart. Last 60 years, there's a massive change. The decade on decade basis, the organization named top 10 almost juggle up, right? And I remember when uh, I moved to Bangalore in 2005, and co-founded a company into smart metering and smart grid solutioning. Why that became possible? Because we were talking about GSM, GPRS, power line carrier communication. That made us believe that we can make smart meters. The data can travel through power line or GSM and GPRS. And at the same time, when we talk about the work dynamics, of course, post-COVID situation has taught us much more because when we see today, people could be working from anywhere and free intelligent recruit also working the same hybrid work ecosystem. Most of the people are working from home or they're coming to office whenever they need it. And I think, yes, this is really bringing a different culture altogether. And as you mentioned, that another dynamism which has been brought in past 1 decade and becoming more so popular is the gig economy. We are seeing today's millennials, how they want. They want change. They want to work for some time. They want to enjoy their lives, and if you see, India is going to create 90 million gig jobs, and that's massive, and this is again bringing a lot of change, organization thinking in different perspective altogether, what they can achieve with the pump jobs or maybe a contract jobs or more so with the gig jobs. So I'm sure that the lot of things we are going to see in our lifetime changing much faster than ever before. So that brings me to another question. Uh, so what would you consider to be the next major driver of change, and what should leader and employees be aware of and be prepared for?
So, of course, I briefly touched about AI and so did you. But this entire revolution, if I may use the word of generative AI, has taken the world by storm. So, the November 2022, not too far back, is when Chat GPT, actually got launched by OpenAI. And if you ask me, we have literally companies mushrooming by the day in generative AI. And this whole creator economy of video, audio, text, presentation, anything that you can potentially think under the sun has taken the world by storm. And people are touting it to be the next industrial revolution. They're talking about 5 trillion on a base of roughly 100 trillion of the global economy to be enhanced just by generative AI in the next few years. So that's, massive. But of course, we have to look at multiple facets of it. You talked about job redundancy. With every revolution comes change. Humans tend to remain in their comfort zone as much as possible. So we also require some amount of jolt at different points of time. And I like this caption a lot, which I read just yesterday, which says that AI will actually automate the mundane and make humans more humane. And I thought that this one line was very, very profound, for us in our lifetime at least. So one, of course, is the change in the job profile. We will see more and more of current jobs, data analytics job, data entry jobs, customer services, customer interaction to actually literally evaporate in front of our eyes with large language models, with generative AI coming through. But also, there will be a lot of new career streams that will come up in front of us. So, AI evangelists, data scientists, AI ethicists, uh, HR people, and legal people specifically designed for AI jobs, managing bots in a gig economy. These are new jobs which are very much present. And like Metaverse was the buzz about 2 years back, we now have companies appointing chief generative AI officers across their companies to manage this very, very complex, very, very socially aware environment that we are actually in. Of course, apart from the opportunity in terms of reskilling ourselves, in terms of enhancing our creativity and pushing us beyond our current limits, we have to look at what I call ethics. We have to look at transparency. We have to look at auditability because humans trust humans not very easily, but they tend to, at least versus machines. And when we say it's the rise of the machines, just like we saw in the Terminator series, people will typically not trust an invisible bot or a generative AI algorithm sitting somewhere in the cloud outside their country. So, how do we build that collaboration? How do we build that trust? How do we put laws and regulations so that people are much more comfortable, around not just understanding technology, but also in terms of adoption is what we look at it. We are in an uneasy phase. There are companies which are getting hundreds and millions of investments in terms of US dollars just by saying that they're in the generative AI space, just by their pedigree, without having a formal product or an MVP in place. So let the hype settle down, give it 12 to 18 months in terms of more stringent laws, better enablement and adoption. And then, of course, we will see a more symbiotic relationship. So we just need to let the dust settle down before we actually start mass scale adoption.
Yeah, I know, you talking about how ChatGPT or generative AI is making the buzz. And I think since November 2022, you've been talking about people came to know about it. I think I've not seen a single guy who has not spoken about it. I think much before anything else that has been brought as a revolution before. But as you mentioned that, yes, this is a huge revolution for sure. It is like a Google earlier that brought in the search option where you can see the information available at your, just click away, but you have to drive the information how you want. But the moment you see ChatGPT or generative AI can really build what you really needed in a more effective, more better, or a descriptive manner, right? I think it really looks amazing and great. But yes, uh, as you mentioned that a lot of investors or investing community, be it the people who have been investing into startups or investing into a listed company. You know what happened to Nvidia, and the companies, even without having a substantive product, they are still going blind and put blind money on a company which is trying to create something into generative AI. I think it talks about the confidence level, the trust they believe that technology can bring in. And of course, we would be seeing much wider scope or usage of generative AI into every facet of our tech enablement. And I'm pretty bullish how this could be taking us to the next level of tech revolution. And I think this brings me to a very interesting question that our viewers will be much interested to hear your views on this coming up question. So how would you see that the current AI revolution impact organizations hiring strategy, in fact, both in terms of the people they hire and how they leverage AI during the hiring process? So I think it's a very interesting question because we operate in the same industry. Our viewers would be happy to understand and listen to your thoughts.
Absolutely, Alok. You said it right. Enterprises, companies, governments, everyone has to look at AI in two different lenses. One is how the skill market itself is changing. So we have had many technology skill revolutions, right from the earlier mainframe, uh, Pascal, COBOL, to the C, C++ revolution, to the Java revolution, to the .NET revolution. And now we are looking at the AI revolution, where you can talk about uh, I would say like data scientists, data engineers, product managers, design thinking evangelists using AI. The number of skills that are available are just too immense. And if you look at India itself, uh, and in the last union financial budget, they've talked about, and I'll tell you in Indian currency, they've talked about 1.12 lakh crores in Indian rupee terms in what they call the unified digital skill platform that they want to build, linking all types of skill sets for potential job placements itself. And of course, everything around digital, AI, blockchain, metaverse, what we call the deep tech, is ruling the roost there. In fact, in the next 3 years, that's by 2026, India will be requiring about 30 million people trained on digital skill sets, predominantly around AI. And there are countries, at least 100 odd countries, which have put their plan for AI in terms of building an ecosystem, helping in research, professing academia, and looking how they can build an ecosystem of skill building and also placement from a job and employment perspective. So that's a massive foray that the enterprises and corporates will have to tap into. The second, of course, is a fundamental shift of looking at what I call candidates, in a very crude term as humans, rather than pure resources, as people have been calling them, or applicants, because there is this very popular terminology called ATS, application tracking system, which almost everyone uses very, very colloquially. So the first shift there is that right from a demand generation, which normally we are doing more on Microsoft Excel, which and building macros, which we are very, very comfortable, to creating a job description, which has been a fairly tedious and manual exercise till now, to be able to screen candidates and even assess candidates, we are seeing a massive shift in terms of bringing technology like AI there. So, if an AI bot can go beyond a keyword search to actual human experience, can go back and check, do what we call background verification, not just through what has been provided by the candidate, but even what's available in social media, because we love posting things about ourselves. So that could be a good background verification check itself. To even assessment, we have bots which are taking video interviews of people. We have bots which are able to run, what we call hackathons or coding marathons where people can actually get assessed, for example, in technology skill sets. So we are seeing a massive revolution in terms of automation through a human-like interface through AI. And like I said, it's become more of a relationship management, right from releasing a potential job description, telling that there is a need to hire people, to an onboarding and retention of that candidate, right from putting up a chatbot to answer their FAQs or queries, looking at uh, the entire process of application, of screening, helping them getting onboarded. We are seeing AI actually bring in a huge amount of efficiency and scale. And last but not least, you have to make sure that the AI is behaving in a very non-biased manner, because we come with a lot of biases as humans. And if these get passed on to AI, then the same inefficiency, the same discrepancies, the same non-inclusion is what we will end up seeing. So how do we make sure that when we drive Life 2.0 through generative AI, it's very, very, impartial, very, very humane, and also you're able to be as transparent as possible. I think that's something that we need to collectively grapple with. So an ATS to a human relationship management is the way I see AI driving the entire talent lifecycle management.
So I think you nailed it when you talk about the basically experience driven through generative AI. There is always, we have seen conscious or unconscious bias. When we hire people, we always have predetermined mindset sometimes. Which create bias which we may not be aware as a human being, but we have seen the impact of AI. So if you know, we have Erica, which is a robotic recruiter, and we brought this Erica in 2018 as initially as a recommendation engine for bringing the best match candidate ranking against each job. In 2021, we take it to the next level, adding the generative AI actually at that point of time. So what Erica was doing in 2021 was automatically creating the personalized communication, understanding which skill candidate is having, which is matching to the job, and sending the information which can excite or make information available to the candidate for taking a decision to apply for a job or not. And you'll be surprised to know that 22% of sourcing is done by Erica, from amongst the customers who have been using our, Erica as a chatbot. But yes, with the Chat GPT coming in and generative AI taking a better and bigger shape, uh, we are now taking Erica to the next level, empowering it through the generative AI model, and seeing that how it can also start conversating with various stakeholders, including the hiring managers to candidates to internal stakeholders to the new hire, and really respond them to their queries during every stage of application, be it when you are trying to generate the interest of the candidate, to giving the information back during the interview schedule time to the candidate or hiring managers or interview panelists, to the offer situation when candidates want to know more information while taking a decision to accept the offer, and the pre-boarding to onboarding stage, which is very important and critical, for candidates' perspective when he or she would like to see the company which he or she is like to join. So I think there are a lot of massive changes we are going to see, and we are also excited as an organization which drive technology or AI, into the recruiting and hiring space. So we now the changing the terminology from an applicant tracking system to candidate relationship management platform, and or candidate experience platform, or maybe recruitment experience platform, because the experience is not only for the candidate but also entire ecosystem, with which you build around hiring process. So I'm sure that, your thoughts and your inputs And of course, leader like you who have been propagating and promoting AI and touching lives, the people, helping them to make them understand how they can really utilize technology, especially when you mentor various tech startup founders, who have been starting their journey. For our viewers also, this is going to be a very, very, informative session. So thank you very much, Rohit, for getting us some time from your busy schedule and be part of this particular podcast. And I'm sure, people who are watching this episode, they must have got a lot of insight. So stay tuned till we come to the next episode. So thank you and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Wishing Talent Recruit the very best and hope you're able to ride the AI revolution.
Thank you. Thank you, Rohit, and have a great day ahead.
Cheers.
Cheers.